In this video, I want to give you 50 plus travel tips for your trip to Japan, useful insights gathered from locals, travelers, and my own experience. I promise you learn something new, so let's go. First of all, if you didn't know, Japan has 47 prefectures and it looks something like this. Most people visit Kanto and Kansai. In Kanto, you've got, for example, Tokyo. In Kansai, you've got Kyoto and Osaka. This is the so-called Golden Route. Every prefecture and every area in Japan has its good sides to it and reasons why you should visit it. Japan is said to have 4 seasons. So in spring, you will be able to see the cherry blossoms. Summer is incredibly hot, but you got a lot of festivals in the summer. In autumn, you will be able to see the autumn foliage, which is incredibly beautiful. In winter, you can, for example, enjoy hot springs, onsen. I feel it's easier to actually tell people when they shouldn't come to Japan. I would avoid, for example, Golden Week. Golden Week is a series of national holidays in the beginning of May. Every person in Japan, nearly every person in Japan, is going to be on holiday. New Year's is a little bit questionable, especially January the 1st, where everything is closed. Like, not everything. Of course, 1 or 2 shops are going to be open. And then obviously you got rainy season and the summer. So it's going to rain a little bit more. Statistically, August is just incredibly hot. Number 3, how long should you visit Japan? Usually 2 weeks is very nice to explore the Golden Route. I would not necessarily do more in 2 weeks. I've noticed that many travelers try to do way too much, and maybe you need to get to terms with the fact that you won't be able to see everything anyway. Number 4, flights. Obviously, the peak travel seasons are spring and autumn, so if you're visiting in spring and autumn, flights are going to be slightly more expensive. What you want to know, this is pretty new information, 2023 I think. JAL and ANA have introduced a program offering free or reduced national flights. I will leave the links in the description below. Another link that you will find down below is from Visit Japan. That is a website where you can do all of your arrival procedures before coming to Japan. And this website will also help you with tax-free shopping. I think they are giving you a QR code that you can use for tax-free shopping in Japan. Many people are asking, how can I find a cheap hotel in Japan? So the truth is, it's incredibly hard now to find cheap hotels. There are certain types of hotels that you can still take a look at. For example, capsule hotels, hostels. Usually business hotels are quite cheap and affordable. For example, Smile is a hotel chain in Japan. Daiwa Roinet. Then I heard of a hotel chain that is called Dormien. Then you got the APA hotels, which have been a little bit in a negative spotlight recently. Maybe you shouldn't. I leave that up to you if you want to use them or not. You got ryokan, Japanese-style hotels that often come with an onsen and a traditional Japanese kaiseki meal. Very popular, but also quite pricey. You got love hotels in Japan. And I just heard recently that some people don't know about that and they are booking love hotels as if they were actually normal hotels, which is absolutely no problem. You can stay at a love hotel. There's no problem with that, just so you know. And then you get a couple of themed hotels in Japan that you often don't find in other countries. Like, for example, Henna Hotel, the hotel with the robots, trains, and coming with that, the JR Pass. Many people ask the question if the JR Pass is still worth it. If you're only coming for about 2 weeks and you're visiting maybe 3 cities in Japan, it's usually not worth it. I will put a link in the description down below for a JR Pass calculator. FYI, for a couple of years now, we also got regional JR passes that are cheaper and depending on what you're planning for your trip might also be useful for you. If you're traveling, you need to look into those luggage rules. For example, for the Shinkansen, you always need to make a reservation for a ticket with oversized luggage area. It's not going to cost you anything extra, but like the luggage area is very limited. The other thing is, don't always automatically look for the Shinkansen right away. You will find many other trains in Japan that you can use as well. If you're going, for example, to Nikko, you'll get a limited express ticket for a limited express train, the Spacia X. I'd highly recommend you to book your train tickets in advance. I had a lot of tourists here who wanted to buy them on the day they went there. and usually most of the seats are already gone. You also want to know is that ticket prices for trains are usually fixed in Japan. They don't go up closer to the date. Then there are obviously other means of transportation. For example, there are a couple of highway buses that you can book that are usually cheaper than the Shinkansen, but they are going to take many, many hours more. And then I recommend you also, depending on your itinerary, to look into domestic flights. For example, if you're going to Hokkaido and Kyushu, flights are usually the best option. Number 9, here are a couple of apps that you might want to get before you're coming to Japan. Number 1, obviously Google Maps for getting around in Japan, or in really any other country except for South Korea. Very reliable. A lot of people recommend Google Translate. For finding restaurants in Japan, Tabelog is the way to go. They now got an English website. Like, the app is probably still in Japanese, but they got a website in English and Korean and Chinese. If you want to use taxi, you can use, for example, the app Go or Uber. If you're a little bit afraid of like natural disasters and earthquake, there are apps that can help you with that. For example, Yude Call and Nerve. If you install those, they're going to send earthquake alarms on your phone. If you want to try to get an eSIM, I recommend Airalo and Holafly. And then last but not least, and very important, the digital Suica card, the digital IC card that you can use here for trains, buses, metro, subway, and all across Japan. So booking platforms, where should you look? For flights, I'm using Google Flights or Skyscanner. They usually give you a comparison of all of the flights. And for hotels, I'm usually using booking.com. If you're using booking.com long enough, you're getting a discount each and every time. Agoda or Expedia are highly recommended platforms for booking. What you probably didn't try so far is you can also look on Japanese travel sites that might have just more options available. For example, Rakuten Travel or Jadan. How do you pronounce that? Number 11. eSIM, SIM card, pocket Wi-Fi. I've been using eSIMs now for a very long time. eSIMs, if you have never heard about that, are digital SIM cards. So you can just download them, install them, and voila, that's it. I recommend Airalo. I have used Airalo for a long time. They never disappoint. If you're arriving in Japan, you can simply get a SIM card at the airport. You can also get a pocket Wi-Fi at the airport. Some popular providers are Sakura Mobile and Mobile. They have SIM cards, pocket Wi-Fis. I mentioned IC cards before, and you probably have heard about this, but when you're coming to Japan, using public transportation is going to be easiest with an IC card. In Tokyo, you get Suica and Pasmo. You can usually buy it at every station, like the physical Suica card, or you can buy it at the airport. You can also get the Welcome Suica card for foreign tourists. I think the downside is that you won't get your money back from that one. And one thing that's a little bit annoying for me is that you only can charge your IC card, your physical one, with cash. One big difference is that if you're getting a digital IC card, which you can also do, the downside is it only works on iPhone. But if you have a digital IC card, you can charge it with your credit card. A really cool thing about these IC cards is that you can also use them for shopping. You can use them at some convenience stores, almost all convenience stores, at vending machines, and in some other stores as well. Number 13, you already heard about this, but you need a little bit of cash in Japan, depending on how long you stay. Like, usually many tourists just get a little bit of cash. You know, I would say for 1 week, for example, just bring about 10,000 yen in cash. There are a couple of places where you can only pay with cash, smaller restaurants, smaller shops, street food stands. Or if I'm showing around some tourists here in Tokyo, it's always like you're going to temples and shrines and you can do a couple of things there that cost maybe 100 yen or 200 yen. And then for that, you would need coins. I mean, you don't have to do all of these things, but it's more fun if you do. Number 14. A lot of people ask me how they should exchange money. You never should exchange money at an airport. The rate is always going to be higher. Just exchange it before you come to Japan or when you are here. There are also more places nowadays that offer exchange services. In convenience stores that offer that. The easiest option, personally, is just to get money at an ATM. Also from my German bank account, for example, I can get Japanese yen. Number 15, travel budget. A lot of people ask how much money they will need for Japan. So it depends on where you come from. But here's a very rough estimate. I would say a flight A cheaper flight will cost you probably about 1,500 USD. Hotels nowadays are going to cost you at least 80, 90, 100 USD per night. You want maybe to go to a different city from Tokyo, you're going to pay 100 USD for a Shinkansen ticket to Osaka or Kyoto. You will additionally maybe spend on food, on attractions and whatnot, 1,500 to 2,000 USD for about 2 weeks. There is definitely some things where you can save money, especially when it comes to attractions. You can do a lot of things that are for free or very affordable. When it comes to food, you can eat a lot of things that are cheap. No matter what you plan for your itinerary, always plan in more time. Kyoto, Osaka are so. But Tokyo is huge. If you're coming to Tokyo, plan in more time. Train stations are huge. Shinjuku is the biggest or second biggest station worldwide even. Then you got Shibuya Station, Tokyo Station, Ikebukuro Station. These are huge. It's incredibly difficult to find the entrance and the exit, the right entrance and the right exit. Not only train stations, the metro system. There is a very good metro system here in Tokyo, but it's also huge. A metro is a little bit like a maze. There are crowds in Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka. Another reason you should plan in more time if you're going from A to B, because you cannot always walk at your own pace. If you're coming to Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, you want to maybe also think about the rush hour, which is usually about like 7 a.m., 10 a.m. in the morning. And in the afternoon, after 4 p.m., 5 p.m., trains are slowly getting crowded again. For why trains in Tokyo are not running at night. They stop running around midnight until about 5 a.m. for maintenance. And then also when you want to go somewhere in Tokyo, you also need a little bit more time because like Tokyo's huge, buildings are huge, you have a lot of skyscrapers and inside a building you always have like 10, 20, 25, 70 floors of something. Number 17, the train system in Tokyo. Again, with still talking about Tokyo. It's very similar in Osaka and Kyoto actually. In Kyoto there are more buses and you have to take the bus more often. What you should know is that certain train lines, not always, but it's very often the private train lines that have like different routes that they take. So at the same platform, you get several trains, but they are going in a different direction. Also, some train lines have like different types like local trains, rapid trains, which means like the rapid train that's going faster and not stopping at every station. So if you need to get out at a certain small station, you maybe need to take the local train instead. And then another thing is, maybe if you're not familiar with Japanese, double check the station names. Most of Japan is very local. You have barely any trains, you mainly have buses, and it's way harder to get from A to B with public transport. In that case, we're going to talk about that in a second. You might want to consider even renting a car. Number 18, luggage delivery. So it's now possible to get your luggage delivered from the airport to your hotel, between hotels. Two very popular companies that are delivering luggage are Yamato and Sagawa. You want to just ask your hotel about this. They might be using a different company for luggage delivery. You can send your luggage, for example, from your hotel, from convenience stores, from the airport, or from major train stations. Number 19, traveling with kids. Because as a tour guide, I'm sometimes showing around families. Everyone knows this, but you're going to walk a lot in Tokyo. Everything's very walkable and it's also a safe country, so it's easy to walk around. But if you have kids, it might not be as easy. Just consider that when you're planning your itinerary, maybe to do like shorter days. There are tons of restaurants and cafes where you can sit down and take a break. Generally speaking, Japan is very kids-friendly from my experience. Like there are a lot of activities and things that you can do as a family. Then also, if you have a long day or if you want to walk a little bit more, there's always the option to take escalators and elevators at most stations or just wherever you can. Number 20, another thing that I wanted to talk about is tourist scams. Japan is statistically and comparatively a very safe country. Still, things can happen. I still know some people who got their wallet stolen in Tokyo. In crowded places, you want to be careful no matter what. Don't put your luggage somewhere and just leave it there and think it's okay because it's Japan. So that being said, there are a couple of scams that you might want to be aware of, usually involving money. There are monk scams I heard about, like monks that are trying to sell you something for a huge amount of money. There are what I see very often if you're going to Shinjuku or Shibuya, people who try to get you into bars. Many of them are legitimate and just like working there and trying to get customers, but there are also a couple of bars that will lure you into their establishment to get your money and sell you incredibly overpriced drinks and whatnot. Let's talk about food and drinks. There's so much delicious food in Japan. So Japanese food would be, for example, everything with rice and fish, like sushi. Washoku is the term for Japanese dishes. Sashimi is raw fish. There are teishoku places that have like a set meal with rice, fish, and some other side dishes. For dinner, there are so many really delicious options, like yakiniku. It's like having your own little barbecue on your own table. Teppanyaki is very similar. I think that the chef is cooking it directly in front of you. Kushikatsu is everything on skewers. Yakitori is chicken. Konomiyaki is like a round-shaped pancake pizza thing with some dough, but also cabbage and tons of other ingredients. Takoyaki are these little balls with like a dough and a little piece of taco inside. Apart from sushi, you got ramen. There are also udon and soba. Udon are the thick noodles. Soba are buckwheat noodles. The tempura is everything fried. Fried vegetables, shrimp, usually in a bowl with rice. While talking about bowls and rice, there are dishes that are called something something don, oyakodon, katsudon. These are usually bowls with rice and something on top. You also got dishes like omuraisu, which is like an omelette but with rice inside. Not to mention the Japanese curry. Like originally, of course, from India, Japanese curry is not as spicy as the Indian version. And when it comes to sweets, some very typical Japanese sweets are mango, that is like sticky rice balls on some kind of stick or skewer. Mochi with some filling, for example, strawberry mochi is like also the sticky rice with the strawberry inside. Daifuku, very similar. It's really hard to explain the differences. Then you got manju. It's not like sticky rice. That's like a dough, kind of like a baked thing with some filling. Also taiyaki, one of my personal favorites. Looks like a fish. You can also find it in other forms and shapes and incredibly delicious. Number 22. Restaurants in Tokyo. We already talked about the fact that Tokyo is incredibly crowded. Every restaurant and cafe is usually crowded and there are long lines. It does not mean that it's a good restaurant. I mentioned Tabelog as an app that you might want to use here in Tokyo. One good thing is, first of all, they have a lot to choose from and you can make a reservation. FYI, the low ratings on Tabelog are very common. Everything above 3.5 stars is already really good. And another FYI that I often don't think about, but then later I'm reminded of it, many places have chopsticks. If you are not sure how to eat with chopsticks, you might want to try it beforehand. Many places, if you ask them, maybe have a fork or a spoon in the kitchen somewhere. Now I'm going to give you a couple of places where you can eat. Number 1, not really a restaurant or anything, but convenience stores. I know how much I loved convenience stores when I came here for the first time, so I can absolutely understand the excitement that most foreigners have when they're coming here. Mainly you got Family Mart, Lawson and 7-Eleven. Really at every corner, and they're open 24 hours usually. And apart from food, they are selling literally everything that you need for everyday life. Really. I would recommend you, if you have the chance, to try local restaurants. They are usually the authentic ones and the good ones that are really delicious. Nowadays, there are a lot of local restaurants having a sign in front of them being like, no English. And I want you to have an open mind. Just don't take it personally. If they have these signs in front of shops, it doesn't always mean we don't like foreigners. It just means we can't speak English. What I did one time was, like, I had a group of tourists and there was this sign in front. I was just knocking, and because I can speak Japanese, I was asking the lady, can we come in? And she was like, yeah, sure, no problem, it's fine. And everything was perfect. On the other end of the spectrum, you have a lot of chain places in especially Tokyo and the bigger cities that are easy to access that I also would like to recommend to you. They are usually cheaper. but still really delicious. And I think the fun part is that many of these chain places, you have like a little tablet where you can order, and you always have a huge selection you can choose from. For Japanese curry, you want to go to Koko Ichibanya. For ramen, many people go to Ichiran Ramen. Ippondo is another one. If you want to try a chain place like an Izakaya style place, you can go to Tori Kizoku. They have mainly yakitori. For sushi, you can go to these cheap sushi places like Sushiro is very popular. I personally go a lot to Kura Sushi. Then you got something like the American Diner, but here in Japan, they are called family restaurants like Saisaria or Gasso. Saisaria is the one that has the cat robot waiters, mainly like an Italian style place where they have pasta and meat dishes and whatnot. If you want a Japanese chain restaurant, you might want to try Otoya. Very cheap, very delicious. If you want to try a Japanese style bar, they are called Izakaya. If you go to popular places like Shinjuku and Shibuya, you might want to have a reservation first. Usually these are places where you can drink. Sometimes they have like a nomihodai, like all you can drink, and you can get food. Usually smaller portion-sized meals, like different types of meats, like yakiniku. Something that you want to know is that there are some places that want a table charge, often night establishment, often bars. Usually they should tell you that, but sometimes with foreigners I have the feeling they don't talk as much. If they don't tell you if they have a table charge and you are unsure if the place have a table charge, ask them. It should also be written on the menu if it's like a special place in some shape or form. If it's a themed cafe, a themed restaurant, if it's a fancy bar or fancy izakaya, it might have a table charge. Now about drinks. So if you're coming to Japan, you probably want to try matcha. Matcha is the famous green tea that we know abroad. But actually there are like 5 million different types of green teas here in Japan, and I couldn't tell you all of them even if I wanted to. For example, when it comes to green tea, you have sencha, matcha, genmaicha. There are types of roasted tea like hojicha. I also know a lot of people that are looking for places where they can buy green tea. You have several options there. You can either go to a specialized shop where it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but they're going to have a larger selection and they're going to have high quality teas. You can also go to the typical souvenir shops. If you want to save a little bit of money, you can go to a regular supermarket because every supermarket sells, of course, green tea. Number 29, sports drinks. That's a point that I want to mention here because when you're coming here in the summer, you should get those sports drinks. They are really good for hydration. The two main sports drinks that they're selling here, like Pocari Sweat and Aquarius, I don't know. They have the same color as water, but it's incredibly sweet. Rice wine, Japanese sake. It has about the same percentage as wine, as we know it, 15 to 20%-ish. And even if you don't like to drink a lot, or even if you think you might not like it, I'd recommend you to give it a try and to maybe do a sake tasting. It really depends on what kind of sake you drink. So now, going from that, let's talk about drinks that you can get at izakayas, Japanese bars. Number 1 would obviously be Japanese sake. If you didn't know, Japan is famous for its whiskey. So there are also a couple of whiskeys that you can get when you go out drinking. Another popular drink, also for me, I really like it, is umeshu, which is plum wine. So made with plums and also a lot of sugar. So it's quite sweet. Then you get something like shochu, which is a distilled type of sake like vodka. And then you get a couple of mixed drinks. And I want to try to explain them to you as good as possible. So for example, sour. Something sour, lemon sour. This is usually a drink mixed with soda, shochu, and some type of juice, for example, lemon. You get something like highball, which is whiskey mixed with soda. And for example, chuhai, which is a shochu highball, which means they use shochu, some soda, and again, something for flavoring, like a juice, or I don't know what. Going from that, let's talk about drinking and smoking in Japan. Drinking, fun fact, you can drink in public in Japan. It's not illegal. For Halloween though, it was becoming a problem. Like people would be going to the Shibuya Halloween Fest and many people would drink and would get into a lot of trouble. So there were a couple of things happening in the last couple of years. So where they were actually prohibiting drinking alcohol on Halloween in Shibuya. As for smoking, on most streets it's not allowed to smoke. As I mentioned before, some smaller restaurants and cafes are still allowing it. And if you're smoking, there are designated areas for smokers, mainly around train stations. In cafes and restaurants, you have usually a smoking room. In hotels, you have usually a smoking room. Let's move on to actually traveling in Japan. If you're coming to Japan, you will arrive at one of the major airports, which is either maybe Kansai International Airport in Kansai, or in Tokyo, Narita, or Haneda. No matter at which airport you arrive, they offer everything that you need for your trip. You can get SIM cards, pocket Wi-Fi, you can exchange money, whatnot. You can send your luggage to your hotel. Now, usually the next question is how to get to, for example, Tokyo, or Osaka, or Kyoto. Usually you have about 3 different options: the trains, buses, or a car ride. Number 1, if you want to get a car, book your car ride in advance. I already mentioned that taxis are really expensive here, so don't just get into a taxi and then be surprised. It can get quite expensive. Buses are usually quite easy, cheap, and you don't need to change. Public transportation in Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka is really good, especially from the airport to the main stations at least, is really easy. One thing that you might want to consider is that trains stop running after midnight. Then you might either want to get a hotel at the airport, and there are hotels at every airport, or you get a night bus. What many tourists don't know who come to Japan, and I just recently learned that myself when I started to work as a tour guide, is that you always need to carry an ID, identification. So in my case, that would be my residence card, but if you're a tourist, that would be your passport. And that's a legal requirement. It can happen that police officers stop you and ask you for your ID, and if you don't have it, you can end up paying a fine that is quite high. It usually doesn't happen. Like 99.99% of cases, it usually does not happen, but you never know. Also, your passport, you can use it for tax-free shopping. I don't want to go into detail about tax-free shopping, but basically I think so. The main requirement is you can buy it here, you don't pay your taxes on it, and then you're not allowed to open it as long as you're still in the country, and you have to take it as it is with you back to your country. So now, when you're coming to Japan and when you're planning your itinerary, you want to do things, right? So let's talk about that. Attractions. Already many people know that, but book ahead. Many popular attractions are booked out. Sometimes it's even months in advance. I heard from other tourists that Shibuya Sky is booked out. Other popular attractions might be the Team Lab exhibitions. You want to book those in advance. Disneyland tickets, Ghibli Museum tickets. I heard the Nintendo Museum is booked out a couple of months even in advance. You all know Klook, right? So Klook is a website that's often recommended for booking all kinds of things here in Japan. You can book your accommodation, you can book, I don't know what, a couple of attractions and all kinds of stuff on Klook. And it's making it really easy because the whole site is in English. I got a discount code down below if you want to use my discount code for Klook. If you want to come to Japan, if it's maybe not your first time, or if you want to come to Japan and you want to experience the culture more authentically, I would recommend you Wabunka. I'm actually working with or for Wabunka here in Japan, and we have really authentic, local, incredibly nice experiences that we offer to Japanese but also foreigners who come here to visit. And I got a couple of links down below of some of the experiences that I've personally attended as a videographer or photographer. And I know that most of the experiences that they offer are incredible. Like, I absolutely love them. I would highly recommend you to at least check them out. I got the links down below. Please feel free. Number 36, check opening hours. Opening hours here in Japan can be quite short. In many places, even in Tokyo, things open quite late, like 9, 10 a.m., sometimes even later. Like, I just went the other day to a cafe that opened at 12 a.m. and they close very early, like 4, 5 p.m. Temples, shrines can have opening hours. Not all of them. Some are open like 24 hours, but you probably don't want to go at night when you don't see anything. But many of them have opening hours. Also, they don't have the same opening, closing hours as we. Like Sundays, usually things are not closed here in Japan. But for that, other days during the week, sometimes a Tuesday, sometimes a Wednesday, things are closed. Temples and shrines. So if you're coming to Japan, you obviously are going to see some temples and shrines. Shrines are Shinto, temples are Buddhist. Buddhism comes originally from India, China, Korea, and then it came to Japan. Shintoism is the Japanese religion. And both are here for a very long time. So they both kind of mixed together a little bit. So you can't distinguish them 100% all of the time. They're sacred places, so no food, no drink. Always be mindful of your surroundings and your behavior when you go to a temple or shrine. It's a sacred place, like going to the church, not sitting on the ground, all that kind of stuff. You can distinguish temples and shrines, for example, by a shrine usually has a torii gate. Temples have usually one of those bigger entrances, doors, gates. A very popular activity for most tourists is gathering stamps. And there are two options, actually. There are the normal free stamps that you can get at train stations, temples, shrines, and major attractions in general. And many tourists are just buying, before they come to Japan, they're buying a little stamp book and they gather those stamps. And it's just the best souvenir ever, right? And it's for free. The second is you got the particular temple and shrine stamps that you can buy. Those are not for free. They are called goshuin. Every temple or shrine has a goshuin, a seal or a stamp. And they look very pretty. And they have seasonal ones. They have temporary ones just for a certain season with a certain picture on it. That's really beautiful. The difference is you usually need a book for that. That's called goshuin-cho. You can buy them separately as one piece of paper and then just put it into your book. Or they can write them directly into your book. But you pay a little bit of money. It's usually starting from 500 yen, 1,000 yen, or a little bit more for the fancy ones. For visiting Tokyo, for your itinerary, here are the places that usually all first-time visitors go to. Would be Asakusa, the most important temple in Tokyo, Meiji Shrine, the most important shrine in Tokyo, Shibuya and Shinjuku, because they're known for their nightlife, shopping, and all the crazy stuff that's happening there, and the Shibuya crossing. Roppongi, Azabudai are quite like high-end areas, really quiet, with a lot of nature, nice to walk around in, and some good shopping opportunities. Ginza also shopping mainly, actually, so I don't know. If you want to explore some of the lesser known areas, they are can't call them a hidden gem anymore, but here are some of my recommendations. Number 1, Yanaka, Ginza, Yanasen, and the area around that. Local area, survived the Second World War. Shimokita and Koenji. Some people even say Shimokita-sawa is overrated. I personally don't think so. It's just people say it's catering to foreigners. That might be the American influence, but you got a lot of places here that has a lot of American influence in Japan. Kagurazaka, Akasaka are some local areas that are nice with local shops. Shibamata is a little bit outside of Tokyo, but also quiet, very quiet local area. Also Chofu is an area I would recommend you. It's a little bit outside of Tokyo, but still so nice and quiet. If you're coming to Tokyo for a longer period of time, you want to do some day trips, here are the most popular ones are Hakone, Nikko, Kamakura, Enoshima. Number 40. Where to stay in Tokyo? Many people ask that question. So for Tokyo, my answer is always, it absolutely doesn't matter. Just stay wherever you want. If you're longer in Tokyo than 1 or 2 days, it absolutely doesn't matter. You want to see all of the places, right? You want to go to Asakusa, you want to go to Shinjuku, you want to go to Shibuya. That's on this side of Tokyo, and the other one is on this side of Tokyo. And to get there, or to get there, or to get there, or to get there, it will take you at least 40 minutes or more, or an hour and a half. So if you're here for the first time and you're looking for convenience, Shinjuku is the most convenient place ever, because Shinjuku Station, again, biggest station in the world or second biggest station in the world. Ikebukuro can be convenient. Ikebukuro can also be a little bit cheaper than the other areas. Asakusa is a nice traditional area to stay in, not so convenient regarding the trains. If you look for a place on or close to the Yamanote line, you're usually perfectly fine. This is the loop line that's going all through Tokyo, and that will bring you to everywhere. So, visiting Japan. Now, let's talk about Japan in general. So, most people go to Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka. Some people also go to Nara. Some people don't go to Osaka, whatever. Kanazawa is getting more popular. But Japan is a huge country. There is so much to see in that. Fukuoka is a beautiful city. Okinawa has a lot of amazing, beautiful islands. Nagoya is one of the bigger cities in Japan, and nobody goes there because Nagoya is really famous for sun, but it has its attractions. Nagano Prefecture. I personally haven't been there yet, but it's number one on my list of places to go to because the nature looks beautiful. Wakayama Prefecture. Also haven't been there yet, but it has the Nachi Falls and this huge, beautiful pagoda there. Sapporo, Hokkaido has a lot to offer. If you like winter sports, you can go there in the winter. You can see the snow festival. You can go to an onsen. I already mentioned Kanazawa, which is also called the little Kyoto of Japan. I don't know, it's not that little. Something, because it reminds people of Kyoto. So if you want to avoid the crowds in Kyoto, maybe consider Kanazawa instead. If you're going outside of the bigger cities in Japan, you might also want to consider renting a car. In local areas in Japan, there are maybe 2 buses each day. That's an over-exaggeration, but there are only a few buses, and it's really exhausting to only go from A to B using the bus. Usually, you would need a translation of your driver's license that would be valid for about a year, something like that, when you come to Japan for the first time. Or you need a driver's permit, international driver's permit. And I will put some links down below where you can apply for a translation for your driver's license. Do that in advance. It can take some weeks. Last but not least, I have to talk a little bit about etiquette, rules, customs. That's a biggie. Have some common sense, be mindful, do a little bit of research. Here are a couple of major things. Number 1, noise. On public transportation and in general in public, people are quite quiet in Japan. It's a society where this kind of mindfulness and regard towards others, it has a high priority. And a city like Tokyo, it's even more important because of the huge amount of people that are living here. So on public trains, can talk. It's not like illegal not to talk, but be a little bit quiet and don't take any phone calls. Like, I think phone calls are 45 trash cans. There are no trash cans in Japan. There was a gas attack in, I think, 1995, and that's when they got rid of all the trash cans because there was like this religious sect or something like that, and they put those gas bombs or whatever inside of trash cans. Saline gas attack. So now we got no trash cans, and tourists are really confused about that. The thing is, it works because Japanese people, they know about that. They follow the rules. They are okay with it. You should bring just a plastic bag with you. Like, I usually have a plastic bag in my bag. If I have some trash or anything and I can't get rid of it right away, I just put it into that. There are trash cans inside of toilets and in convenience stores here and there, but they are designated trash cans for the things that you use on the toilet, and it's also a little bit rude to use them for your own trash. In any other case, like at cafes, for example, there are trash cans inside of cafes where you usually put away the burnable waste, non-burnable, like plastic, paper. So look out for that. If you're going to a cafe, don't leave your stuff on the table. At most places, you have to bring it yourself to those trash can areas, whatever. Sitting and standing, especially on public ground. So this is a big new problem since we have so many foreigners. I'm now seeing that every time I go somewhere, the tour guide, I see people sitting on the ground everywhere now. So on streets, on sidewalks, temples and shrines, it's a huge no-go actually, because these are sacred places. Imagine somebody sitting on the floor on a church. For that, you got cafes and restaurants where you can go into. There are not many public seating spaces in Tokyo. I know it's exhausting to do sightseeing in Tokyo. Most Japanese would go into a cafe. That's the thing to do. That's what Japanese people would do. Also standing, like, don't cut in line. Japanese people line up everywhere. When you get on a train, there's usually a line left and right. There are signs that usually tell you where to stand. when you're going somewhere inside of train stations and whatnot, or inside of shops, there are usually signs also on the floor for where you have to go to the cashier and where's the entrance and exit. You want to maybe learn the words for iriguchi and deguchi, which is entrance and exit. On the escalator in Tokyo, they are standing on, I think, the left side or the right side, and in Kansai, it's vice versa. You just line up where everyone else is standing, and because the other side is for people who are in a rush and who want to get to the train or wherever they go to quickly. So don't block the way. 47, eating in public. So you might have heard about this, but eating while walking is rude, not so common in Japan. If I ask Japanese about it, they always tell me it depends on the situation. There are certain situations where it's still kind of okay, but I wouldn't risk it. In most places, you have a designated area where you can eat. If you go, for example, to Asakusa, Harajuku, and you get the street food there are usually designated areas around the shop where you get your food, where other people are standing. And they are usually also places where you can throw away the trash afterwards. If you don't see a trash can, ask the owner of the shop where you can put away, where you can get rid of your trash. Number 48, shoes and socks. You probably heard that if you're going inside of buildings, temples or whatnot, you have to take off your shoes, which is quite common. Also in other countries, not a Japanese thing. What is important though is that you should not take off your socks. You should have socks with you, which might be an issue in the summer when people are walking around here in sandals and barefoot. Going inside of temples or whatever, barefoot, houses or whatnot, that is rude. That is unhygienic, considered unhygienic, and you shouldn't do that. Certain places you will see the signs. There are always designated areas where you take off your shoes. Sometimes you can put them in a bag. Sometimes there are lockers or whatever to put in your shoes. Then you can get slippers in return and then you go, or you just go with your socks. 49. Tipping culture. Tipping is not common in Japan. Probably heard that one as well. You can tip me if I'm your tour guide. That's okay. It's a Japanese thing. So if you want to tip someone in Japan, number one is it might be considered rude. I think Japanese would be confused. If you want to give someone something as a present in form of money, for whatever reason, put it into an envelope. That's a common gesture in Japan, thanking someone, whatever. You put it into an envelope. We have this problem a lot that people are taking photos without asking if they are allowed to take photos of other people. A big no-go for me is taking pictures or videos of kids and children here in Japan. Geishas have a big problem with all the foreigners and tourists coming and taking pictures and videos of them. Please leave them alone, so to speak. They are just working and living in Kyoto and they just want to live their lives. That are just two examples. Like, people are coming to Japan and they are getting really crazy about getting the best shots, getting the best photos or the best videos. You see a lot of those slightly crazy people around Shibuya crossing, especially. Little additional point at the end of the video. Language. So there is a language barrier, and even in Tokyo many people don't speak English. It's getting better, but still, if you learn a little bit beforehand, that can maybe help you just have a better communication with locals. And yeah. And the two most important words that you want to know: arigato, arigatou gozaimasu. It's like thank you very much, suimasen, I'm sorry, or excuse me. Also, toire wa doko desu ka? Where's the toilet? Eki wa doko desu ka? Where's the next station? So, that being said, I'm finished now. I'm so finished now with this video. That's probably a really long video, and if you watch until the end, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you think I missed anything in this video, I probably did, or if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and if not, I see you then in the next video. Cheers!